Welcome to episode 14 of the Today I Am Sober podcast with your host, Liz W. Today I'm joined by Loulou Storey. Now, Loulou is a style coach who founded the style agency, The Styling Story, 4 years ago. Loulou and her team help women all over the world to reclaim their confidence and identity by transforming the way they dress, ensuring that her clients don't just look, but feel incredible every single day. She was recently featured on ITV with Tresemmé's latest campaign, #PowerYourPresence, sharing her story of how clothes empowered her on Loulou's personal journey and recovery from depression. Loulou has worked with some of the biggest retailers, such as Karen Millen, to launch their personal shopping offering, and she's currently training the next generation of stylists to style their clients beyond first impressions counting, and instead focus on style as an empowerment tool. She's worked with Triumph Lingerie, Kittery, Me&M and Soho House, as well as regularly appearing on the BBC, where she is passionate about spreading her message of mindful, confident style. In our conversation, we discover what you can do before you even go online or walk into a shop. Because let's face it, we're all being bombarded by sales messages at the moment, particularly because Boxing Day sales have just started. So listen to the show, let me know what you think. Thank you. So, Loulou, welcome to the show.
Hi Liz, thank you so much for having me. This is very exciting.
It is exciting and it's also really timely. So it's the day this show goes out, it's Friday the 27th of December. We'll have all gorged ourselves on turkey, unless we're vegans or vegetarians. In our house there'll be lots of turkey. I think we're also having beef this year just to mix things up.
Yum.
And if you're anything like me, inboxes will be full of shops selling us clothes. On the telly, there's going to be loads of adverts with discounts. And it's this time of year where we're thinking, right, it's the new year. What do I need to add to my wardrobe? What clothes should I buy myself? And I don't know about you ladies, but if I've had a particularly Christmas and perhaps it was a bit challenging, I like to treat myself. And a new piece of clothing is a great way to treat yourself. So Loulou, you are the expert on all things style, on all things clothing. So for someone like me that's thinking, right, I've read an article, perhaps it was 20 years ago in Cosmo, that says every woman needs 10 pieces of clothing in their wardrobe. What would you recommend I go buy?
Wow, Liz, let me bring you along on a slightly different journey. I think we get completely caught up in what the journalists are trying to sell us on the top things that every woman should own. And really, the reason that I am a style coach rather than a personal stylist is because we have to get clear on who you are. There is a completely different shift that I would ask people to really consider going into the new year, the new decade. And that's just to take a stand back and ask yourself, who are you and who are you becoming? Because I know, it's a good question. It's a good question.
That's a great question. And it's a completely different approach.
It's a completely different approach. We have to get clear on this, because the reason that we constantly feel like we haven't got something to wear is because we don't actually know what we're trying to communicate. We've probably evolved so much as a person over the years. We've had so many experiences happen to us. And if we don't really stop, just even if it's for 5 minutes to answer that question, how do you know what to wear? How do you know what to express? So, Liz, I would say the first step to every client, and this is something that I have a method of working with every client, and it's really about falling back in love with style, falling in love with yourself and your clothes. So the great place to start is something really small and identify 3 items. All right, so I want you to have a think about this.
Okay.
Hey, you with me? You with me? I want you to have a think about 3 items that really, really bring you joy in your life.
What, clothes?
It could be anything. It doesn't have to be clothes. It could be an item of clothing. It could be a bag. But even if it's a utensil, even if it's a view outside your window, a painting you've bought, a piece of furniture, a gift somebody gave you, anything like that, just have a think. And come on, listeners, come with me on this ride. Let's do this together. Have a think about 3 things that you just get, that kind of sparkly, like, oh, I'm so pleased to own this. I'm so excited to have this in my life. That feeling. Start there. Have you got some ideas?
I've got 3. I'm so
Okay.
excited by this.
Tell me.
So the first is, I've got one of those KitchenAid food processors.
Yep.
So it's bright red. It's an iconic design. It's the food mixer. So it's the one that you use to bake cakes. And it was a gift for my 40th birthday. I would like to say that it is in my kitchen today, but actually it's in my mother's kitchen because she's the baker. I'm an aspirational baker. But it's such a thing of beauty. It's a classic design. It's in a bold colour and it's really tactile. When I know, oh my goodness, I'm getting excited about it.
This is wonderful. Okay.
But it's really smooth and it's got it really feels lovely, and it's got a beautiful chrome bowl and it just feels classic design.
Okay, I love this. So before we even go into your other items, tell me then this is a perfect example, what that says about who you are.
Okay, so, yes, see, I'm being challenged. I like this. I like classic clothes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not one for following trends.
Mm-hmm.
I like bold colours, and I'm comfortable wearing things that suit me as opposed to things that are in fashion.
Yes.
And I want things that stand the test of time as opposed to fast fashion. So I'm not a fast fashion kind of girl. It's funny, actually. I rarely go shopping, but I went into the shops the other day, and there's loads of bodysuits in the shops.
Yeah.
And I remember them from the first time round in the 1980s, and they're bloody uncomfortable to wear. And I'm like, I know they probably give you a really nice, sleek line, but they give you a VPL, and they're blooming uncomfortable on the crotch, quite honestly. And I'm like, why would anyone bring those back?
Oh, they're not for you. And that's the thing. That's the amazing thing about fashion, is that there's going to be something that is going to repel you. There's going to be something that appeals to you. And this is why it's important to work out what you're about so that you can make these quicker decisions when you're going into the shops. For me, I've done the 80s when I'm 35. So done the 80s when I was very young. But I did the 80s a lot in the kind of, when I was about 17, 18, I did a lot of vintage shopping. So for me, and the 80s really suit my figure. So I've done it then, but it's coming back and it really excites me. I'm going to do it for a second, and I'll probably do it for third or fourth time because I absolutely love it. And I've seen an amazing bodysuit in Reese that reminds me of top again I had in my clubbing days, but I would wear it very differently. I'd wear it with a beautiful black tux jacket, a sleek pair of trousers or jeans. I'd wear it as opposed to the denim skirt that's 2 inches long that I wore when I was 18. But this is why it's so important to get clear, because for you, great, it doesn't work for you, fantastic. But it's understanding what does. And what's interesting about your example of your KitchenAid is that there's also quality. It's luxurious. It has a knowing about it that it is not just practical for the duty it needs to serve, but it's also can do it with a little bit of flair.
Yes.
Yes. So does your wardrobe do that for you?
No.
Okay, so can you see that there is a gap?
There's a huge disconnect, actually, huge disconnect. And it's what I think is really interesting is when I was in corporate and I was, employed working for someone else, I could absolutely say that my wardrobe was KitchenAid. So I used to shop at LK Bennett. I would go in there once a quarter and I would go to literally find a shop assistant and say, right, I need some new dresses for work and I need a couple of new outfits, help me out. And I would literally walk out of LK Bennett dressed head to toe in LK Bennett with the dress, with the belt, with the shoes, with the handbag. And I'd probably get another dress and different accessories because I was adding to what I already had.
Yeah, so you had it, but you are still that KitchenAid person. But would you say that you are, what? I hope you don't mind me diving in like this, but I feel like this.
No, go ahead.
Great. It's then understanding. So the second stage is then, well, what's your lifestyle? What is your lifestyle now, and how does it differ, so that you can then still have the KitchenAid. It's not then that you're dressing as you're in corporate every day, but you still have the key checkpoints, that idea of iconic design, quality, luxury, even if your life is very different. There's so many women I work with who are still in that corporate world, but it's changed. They're working from home a lot more frequently. By 2050, 50% of the workplace will be remote.
Yeah.
We are in this casualization of society, but actually this is our time to dress up and do it in a different way. We're not in little tailored dressers.
Exactly. And I think that was one of the challenges I faced is I went through a period of the LK Bennett dresses. And then one day I woke up and I was like, I don't want to be that kind of buttoned up corporate woman. The business I worked for was a tech company and, smart casual had come in. And personally, I blooming well hate smart casual. I mean, what is
in a little sweat from the words?
yeah, it's like, you get I used to get invitations for things. It's like, what's the dress code? Smart casual. It's like, really? Oh no. For me, smart casual is just hell on earth. And I think now I'm living in a smart casual world, but I either know how to be smart or know how to be super casual. I don't know how to blend the two together.
Well, the trick is in the name. So you wear one bit of smart and you wear one bit of casual.
Oh, really? Is it that simple?
Yeah.
Oh, I've been overcomplicating smart casual for all these years, Loulou. How did that happen?
All right, end the podcast here. That's it. Job done. So yeah, it is that simple. It's about blending the two wardrobes together. I think it's very outdated when stylists say to have your separate wardrobes. I mean, of course, there's going to be extremes. There's going to be your ascot wedding gear. Even the world of weddings. I mean, and ascot has changed. Like people wearing beautiful suits, and then the thing that really gives it that extra power and glamour is the accessories, the hat, the shoes, etc. But the blending of wardrobes is one of the first stages. So we're just doing a quick summary of my method, of my process that I've built up over the last 4 years, and I take all my clients through. But it is, so first stage is that, like we were saying, what do you love, what gets you excited? We also look at icons, who really sparks your imagination. I get my clients to be style detectives and go out and see what's going on around them. What are people wearing? What excites them or what doesn't? Is it looking all a bit bland? What is the uniform, and how do you want to fit into it, and also how do you want to break it? Where do you sit? It's getting clear on who you are and what you're about, what your goals are, what your lifestyle is day to day. Practically, your clothes have to serve you on a practical level, but also on an emotional level, and also on an ambition level. Really important that your clothes are something that you grow into. And then we go into the wardrobe, and it is so important, Liz, before we do any shopping, that we get clear on what is already in there, and we really look at how we can mix the wardrobes and actually remove the labels a lot of the time. Because very often I'll come in and say, oh, this, have you got, have you got a great pair of tailored trousers? And someone will say, well, I have got this suit and it's been hanging there for a few years. I'm like, okay, what are the trousers like? What's the blazer like? And I pull them apart, not literally like at the seams. Right, let's have a play with the separates.
Yeah.
How can that blazer be your bit of polish, be your bit of smart? And how can we add the casual?
Do you know, if nothing else, I can't believe I've got to the ripe old age of 47 and I didn't know that the clue was in the name of smart casual, that one item's smart and one item's casual.
We're so good at dressing the two to like doing super smart or super casual. But yeah, I mean, even, if you've got an amazing coloured hoodie, can you put that with your really chic navy trousers from your suit and have maybe a slightly dressier kind of t-shirt underneath? And then you're just taking, you're having that mix, that blend. I kind of always imagine it like you've got this, like you're in a recording studio and you are dialing those, you're playing with those knobs and like twizzly bits, and you're dialing up. You've got to think, well, who do I need to be today? What energy am I bringing to my day? And you have a little think about, well, do I need to be quite smart? Does that make me feel powerful? So as I'm working with clients, you start to work out where your sweet spot is, where your power, I suppose, yeah, your power point is, where you can feel at your most productive, capable, successful. You can quieten down the negative voices in your head. You can quieten down that feeling of not being, of the fact that you're the genuine thing and you're not a fake. And that really is about dialing up those knobs, turning them around, going, well, I need to be a bit smarter than that actually to feel professional. And when we're working from home, we can still be comfortable, but it's important for your mental health, I believe, having gone through depression and helping a lot of other clients, that we get dressed every day, that we turn up for ourselves, that we really show ourselves that we mean business, whether that is because we are running our lives professionally or whether we are, we could be in retirement. It doesn't matter. It's about working out what meaning business means to you.
Love it. And at this point, we haven't even gone online or even walked out to the shops yet, have we? And then I started like, right, what are we going to buy? And you're like, no, let's pull it back. So we've worked through what's important to us, what things bring us joy. We've looked at perhaps some style icons. We've looked around and observed what's going on around us. We've looked at our lifestyle.
Yeah.
Then actually gone into our own wardrobes and had a look at all of the pieces that we have. And I don't know if I'm the only person that does this, but I go shopping for a top. I end up with a white top, and then I get home and I find I've got 5 white identical tops.
Yeah.
Ludicrous.
But that's because, again, it's this idea of being mindful and aware, and our brains will just often want to repeat the same thing over and over and over. It's kind of breaking those habits. So yeah, looking in your wardrobe is so important. But one little trick that I would recommend always is to pop your wardrobe into color order. So again, shake it out of unless you have a massive wardrobe. If you've got like a big walk-in wardrobe, then with a lot of clothes, then I would maybe do this slightly differently. But generally, don't worry about having trousers together, tops together. Just pop it in like a rainbow of color.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I like the sound of that, because that reminds me of some of those beautiful Instagram shots where you see.
Yeah, and look how excited you are already. We've got to make that space inspiring. If we are to create and look inspirational, we want that space to be inspiring. So popping it into color order is a really great way. And any time in life when you move things around, it's like when you're, I don't know, open your spice drawer and you're like moving, moved everything around, and then you pull something and you see something at the back and you think, I knew I had the time in there somewhere, But, it's that thing, you kind of move everything around and you go, oh God, I forgot I had that. And suddenly an outfit might be sparked. And you think, well, I could do this, this, and this. With my newfound knowledge, I could do this, this, and this. So creating those new outfits from what you've got. And a really great way to kind of see your success along the way is to photograph yourself daily.
No. What, literally do a selfie of this is what I'm wearing?
In the mirror, yeah.
In the mirror.
Because it's really, really, it's actually so powerful. You just got to get over yourself and get yourself out of the way. Because you can be so much more objective. When we look in the mirror, we look at the bits we hate. We look at the bits that we are so used to telling ourselves make us a less worthy person. And actually, when we take a picture, we can be a lot more objective and think, oh, actually, I can see, yeah, that skirt does flatter and it balances out my proportions. And, oh, yeah, and actually, maybe if I did add a belt, it would highlight my waist. God, I never thought that neckline. Now, yeah, it really does lengthen my neck. So you start to be a bit more objective. You can also start to just collect the outfits that work. So on the days when you're like, oh, I don't know what to wear, my brain is dead, you can go back and you've done the thinking for yourself already.
Now you said a number of phrases in the last couple of minutes, which would be like nirvana to me. You know, I would not be able to look at myself in the mirror and say, oh yes, that skirt looks great because it fits me, or the proportions are right.
Yeah.
Look, my neck has been lengthened. I would like a longer neck. I would like to wear skirts. I haven't worn skirts for years. But how do you even know where to start with what clothes will look great on you?
Well, obviously the first place is to book me or another stylist. It would be a great way, because ultimately I think that we get so caught up in, it's like berating ourselves that we don't have this knowledge. Oh, I should be able to dress myself. It's this,
Well, I can dress myself. I just can't dress myself particularly well, or I often don't feel like my clothes are adding anything to me. So one of the reasons I wanted you on the show specifically is because when we met last summer, you didn't, and I came up to you and I was like, so Loulou, what could I wear? And I blurted a whole load of stuff at you and you were like, Liz, clothes are all about making you feel great. It's about expressing yourself. It's not about the clothes. And I'm like, and you kind of stopped me in my tracks, because I've been to personal stylists in shops before, and I've watched the UK show Trinny and Susanna What Not to Wear, and I got the book, and I learned about having the white long sleeve t-shirt with something else above, and V-necks versus round necks and what have you. And I was kind of looking for, when I spoke to you in the summer, some kind of holy grail of, there must be like a magic wand or something that you can do that is going to instantly make me feel better with my next clothes purchase. And you very quickly pointed out that it doesn't work like that, in the very kind, gentle way. And you kind of took me back to the beginning. And you did actually, in fairness, you did give me some suggestions of some things that would work for me. But, as you just said a moment ago, there were things that we look at in the mirror that we don't like. And my experience is, when I'm not comfortable with what I'm seeing back in the mirror, I see more of it rather than less of it. So what I've heard you say is that I kind of need to retrain my brain to focus on the good bits, not the bits I don't like particularly.
Yeah, and I think I've never heard somebody say it before like that about taking yourself back to the beginning. And that's, that's kind of what we do in this process, is that we go back to what makes you unique, what we can use to celebrate you. And as you say, a positive spin on it. Because, we could spend hours and hours and endless amount of money dressing you. But ultimately, if we can't get your head in the right place of celebrating who you are and finding out what makes you feel successful, and that's such a personal answer, then ultimately it's only going to have either a short-term effect, or you're constantly going to be seeking that next purchase. And don't get me wrong, I could go beep, 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 and beep, 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 love clothes. You know, I love stuff. I love beautiful things. I get so excited about quality, craftsmanship, fashion. I love trends. You know, that to me is exciting because we can evolve as people. But ultimately, I had to learn on my journey, and this is where this all came from. I was 4.5 stone heavier than I was. I was depressed. I was lost. I was the pressure of setting up this business. And actually, that was the gift to me, because I was able to be my first client. I was able to take myself through the process and find a way of loving myself. And on that note, uh, last night, this is a bit of a weird tangent, but last night I'd found this little box when I was back home, and it was full of little notes and like letters to myself that I'd written when I was about 14, 15, and like notes that we'd passed around the classroom, all this kind of stuff. And I've had it on the side for about 2 months, being I must read it, I must read it, I must read it. And last night I pulled it down for a reason, and the note on the top was so upsetting. I had I just thought I was so wrong. I thought I was just so ugly and fat. And why did nobody think? Why couldn't I get myself a boy? It was all about boys.
Of course. Hello, you were 14.
But there was a real sense of desperation in that. And it makes me realize that I've been on this journey now for, well, that's 20 years ago, of really accepting who I am and not trying to, fit into society's answer of who I should be. So we do have to go back to the beginning. And yes, let's use clothes as a fun, playful way to take action, because ultimately change comes from action. And it's a physical thing, isn't it? Trying on clothes. It's a physical thing of moving your clothes around, clearing out, getting rid of the energy, welcoming in new stuff. It's transformative because you're taking action. You're dressing your body shape, so there's acceptance there. So it really has to, yeah, we have to change the mindset first, and come to peace with where we're at.
God bless you. It's interesting, isn't it, that I found some old photos recently as well of me when I was about 17, 18. And I look back at that girl now and I'm like, can you not see how gorgeous you were?
Is that the same for us now? You're going to look back, we're all going to look back in 20 years and be like, could you not see how gorgeous you are?
Oh, that's just packed a punch, Loulou. But it's true, isn't it?
It's true. It's true.
Wow. That really has packed a punch. So, okay. So we've moved into the wardrobe. We've separated all the pieces. We've put it in a rainbow colour if we don't have a walk-in wardrobe. And if you do, send me a picture, because I do love a good closet. Send me a picture.
Keep it, I would say, if you've got a walk-in wardrobe, keep it into the kind of your jackets, dresses, keep it separate, but yeah, pop it into colour, and make sure you've all got the lovely thin velvet hangers, which you can get everywhere, Amazon, TK Maxx.
Love TK Maxx thin velvet hangers, because you can get more clothes in your wardrobe with them.
Yeah, and I had a client that I was working with. I took her through the process. We did it actually all remotely. And she was astounded at how just having a uniform hanger immediately made her wardrobe look more aesthetically pleasing. And just a note on the rainbow, the other reason it's so powerful is because you can really stand back and see what you own. So you can be like, like you say, the white top. You're like, oh, okay, alrighty, there's quite a few in there. So it just makes that awareness. It also you can when you start to develop your color palette, and this is the color palette that suits your skin, hair and eye combo, but also this is where the rebel in me comes out. I'm kind of like, if you love a color, regardless of whether it suits you, you can find ways to wear it. So, developing that color palette. But I had a moment where I was like, I did it all, and I looked, and I was like, I have no red. I love red. Red's like one of my favorite colors. I'm like, what the hell is going on? So you immediately also have this thing of, oh, okay, why don't I own that color in my wardrobe? Where, yes, absolutely, yeah. Yeah. I have two views. Be first thing, be realistic. Are you dreaming about the memory of squeezing into that, or do you actually like the item? Like, is it still good quality? Would it proportionally, if you were to lose weight, would it still fit you? Because obviously our bodies as women, especially if we've had kids, change. So, were they like a low rise gene. And actually, even if you were to lose the weight to get back into that, I would not recommend anyone steps into a low rise. So, be realistic. Is it the dream that that you're wishing to step back into, or are they actually great? If they are great, then take them out of the wardrobe. You should only ever have stuff hanging in there that you can currently fit into. So when I was losing weight, what I did was I had almost like what I thought would be the next stuff that I could get into. So the kind of half a stone loss would be I could get into that. I had that under the bed, kind of ready to go, so I could kind of quickly try on and be like, oh right, yeah, we're there. Or, oh, not quite. Keep going, keep going. If it's a bit more of a way off, then yeah, pop it into the loft and get it out. But just please, if you're about to have a baby, or you're post baby, don't or your weight loss is your weight shifting up or down, I don't have clothes hanging in there that you can't wear now, because that will only exacerbate that problem if I have nothing to wear. But really, when you get clear on who you are and what you're becoming, and what you want to see in yourself when you look in the mirror, then it's a lot easier to get rid of stuff, because you're actually then like, you know what, this isn't me anymore. This is not what I'm going. And you're like, there's somebody out there that deserves this and needs that help. This is going to be the perfect thing for them. And you can just say thank you and let it go and move it on.
Yeah, no, personally, I have no qualms about letting clothes go. We've recently moved house, and I went through my wardrobe before we moved and I was like, picked up each item, almost Marie Kondo-esque. Does this bring me joy? Do I like it? Do I wear it? Is it ripped? Does it fit me? And if I didn't like it, if I didn't wear it, and if it didn't fit, it was in the charity pile. So the local charity shop got 50 items of clothing. Unless it was, I think I've only kept two or three dresses that are hugely sentimental. I've kept the jeans that I wore the day I met my husband,
Yeah.
because they are gorgeous. Well, I mean, yeah, because it was just like a thunderbolts of lightning the day I met him. A red dress that I wore to a black tie do, and it was the first black tie do I went to where I felt great, because I chose the dress rather than my mother. Sorry, Mum, if you're listening, but let's not mention the pastel yellow tutu that I wore to my graduation party.
Just on the note of mothers, when if you have had a mother who has a very strong sense of their style, or what is right and wrong and how it should be, it can often be a lot harder for us to then develop our own tastes. And that's something a journey I've been on. Sorry, Mum, if you're listening. But she had a very defined way of how I should look and how I should be. So you end up then going into a place of rebellion, means you're still caught up in it, because you're almost doing the opposite for the sake of doing the opposite, so you can define yourself differently. So again, coming back to yourself is part of this, is really, who are you? But yeah, very important. And the other thing, just to note on memory, have that memory box, and allow yourself, I would say, like between 50, it depends on how many, but like kind of 10 to 20 items. And then if it starts getting too many, then you're not just keeping it for the sake of memories, you're kind of holding on to it. But I love that you can just let go, and it sounds like you're kind of a lot more focused on, let's get excited about the future rather than about daydreaming about the past.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've got me all excited about the future because my wardrobe at the moment is really easy to organise because it's it's one rail. Let's call it what it is. It's one rail. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to reorganise it, but I do want to buy some things.
Yeah, great.
Um,
We can now start doing it.
Excellent. Are you giving me permission now to go buy something? So,
Yeah.
um, I don't have a problem with accessories. Actually, that's a lie. I do have a problem with accessories. I have far too many of them.
Too many, too many.
Yes, we don't need any
Do you
more
ever think
accessories.
about dressing your outfit from the accessory, starting at that place?
Okay, so I have got a whole load of heels, LK Bennett heels, that are in mad bright colours that I absolutely adore. So I have a pair of coral patent. It sounds awful, but they just make me feel joyous when I even look at them. I don't even have to have them on. I've got a pair of coral patent high heels that they're just divine. And I've got a matching handbag, of course, because one of the messages I got from my mum is that you match your accessories. So hello, I've continued that because I tried the rebellion on that and it felt really off. So I've got this beautiful coral pair of shoes. And every time I put them on, I'm with an outfit, I'm like, no, it doesn't work. And I take them off and they go back in the box and I get a really boring pair of nude flats or nude heels out. So what could I do to have an outfit to rock my coral high heels?
So, first of all, I feel like you should be putting the coral heels on when you're working at home because you're sat down anyway, but they would probably make you feel fabulous as you're working. Just do it for you,
Do
number
you
one.
think?
Well, yeah, why
It
not?
seems a bit odd putting on heels at home.
Well, yeah, but if they make you feel good, and it can be fun, it can be playful. Sometimes I just like, I'm feeling, if I'm at home and I'm just feeling a bit like, oh, just need a bit of pizzazz, a bit of energy. I pop my heels on and just sit there and look at my beautiful feet, they think. But in all seriousness, if you've got something that's a really wow piece, if we think about that kind of having that record music control center in front of us, if you think of the coral heels, I mean, that is like full on volume all the way to the top.
Yes.
So we need to dilute it. We need to cool it down. We need to make those feel, because if it's in that day-to-day world, that smart casual world, everything else with it should feel fairly casual. So that's why things like adding in like a soft, slightly tailored but casual, like jogging trouser, or adding in maybe like a little soft palazzo trouser but very loose silky trouser, just a simple t-shirt would be great. Or you could go more oversized knit with some great leggings, or really neat trousers, like a little cigarette trouser, or like a boyfriend jean and a hoodie, or a more casual jumper.
Now, all of those things you've just said, I've immediately gone, oh my God, I would never have imagined of putting those shoes with those kind of outfits. Because my go-to would be a pair of jeans and a white top, because let's face it, I've got 5 of them in the wardrobe. And then let my heels sing.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's that, and it probably works. It is a great formula. A classic pair of jeans, a great white top, and some amazing shoes and accessories. And there are those classic rules that always work. But maybe for you right now, it just needs that extra bit of,
Va-va-voom.
yeah, because that's your iconic, isn't it?
Yeah.
So have a think. One of the words you used when we're going back to your KitchenAid, and can you believe that a kitchen utensil can express who you are? But was that word of tactile? So great style is often a mixture of textures. So that's why things like silk and wool look so good together. That's why, suedes and leathers because it just adds depth and interest. That's why sequins have become such a big thing, because again, it adds interest, light, texture. It makes colours have different depth and opacity. So maybe for you, it's adding in a bit of tactility.
Ooh, I do like a nice tactile jumper, for example.
Yeah, adding in some depth there that you might then it gives you that little interest, extra little layer of interest.
Now, Loulou, I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours about clothes, but we're coming up to time. And I know that on Instagram, people can follow you at Loulou Storey _stylist. And again, the details in the show notes. And one of the things I love about your Instagram feed is that you're actually out in the shops, showcasing things. So you got a whole load of shoes out in one shop, and you were talking about the various different shoes and how you could wear them and what you could put them with. So if listeners, if you've enjoyed this conversation and you want to connect more with Loulou, definitely go over to Instagram and follow her. Some of the advice that she gives there, well, not some, all of the advice she gives there is phenomenal. And you're really current and up with the trends. And even though someone like me is a bit more classic, I do like the idea of bringing in something that's on trend. Now, it doesn't mean to say I'm going to be dressed head to foot on trend. A single piece would be amazing. And if people want to work with you one-on-one, Loulou, how can they get in contact with you?
Well, any way they fancy, really. I mean, they can DM me on Insta. I have a fantastic, on my website, I've got a free downloadable 10 steps to transforming your style and confidence. So that's a great place to start. And they can also send an inquiry, just a message through this website, or drop me an email, lulu@thestylingstory.co.uk. I'm not fussy. As long as people are stepping up and looking after themselves and embracing that they don't have to feel like this. If they feel lost, confused, overwhelmed with too many clothes, underwhelmed with too few, it doesn't matter. We are here to help you. And it's amazing the changes and the transformations that are happening and can happen.
Loulou, it's been an honour and a privilege having you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us. I wish you a fabulous 2020. And listeners, if you would like to get in touch with Loulou, all of the details, as I said earlier, in the show notes. Loulou, thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you, thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Today I Am Sober podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I love your feedback. So come and find me on social media. All of the links are in the show notes. Until next time, bye.